My name is Nasreen Sheikh. I am a survivor of modern-day slavery and the founder of Empowerment Collective.
In today's world, inexpensive products and corporate profit shape the habits of our consumption, often at the expense of human lives and our planet's well-being. Nasreen Sheikh was born in the rural village of Rajura, India, on the border with Nepal. Her exceptional resilience provided the strength to overcome childhood trauma, and today she is an entrepreneurial advocate for disadvantaged women, an international public speaker, and a leading voice for human rights.
In my village, births are not documented. I do not know my birthday or my exact age. I grew up believing that girls and women are commodities, not human beings. When I was about 9 or 10 years old, I went to work in Kathmandu. I lived and worked in a 10 by 10 sweatshop with 6 other people for more than 2 years. When the sweatshop closed, I found myself living on the streets. But it was there that I met a kind man, Leslie John. He was a scholar who spoke many different languages. I became his one and only student. When I was about 14, Leslie helped me acquire my first loan for sewing machine. Soon afterwards, I met Rita. She spoke my village language and was living on the streets. When Rita asked for help, I taught her how to sew. This was the beginning of my work.
According to the United Nations, as of 2022, 49.4 million people live in modern-day slavery, and over 70% of them are women. The Empowerment Collective's contribution to the global effort to end modern-day slavery takes a grassroots approach, building relationships and creating long-term generational healing. Empowerment Collective is dedicated to raising global awareness and providing marginalized women in Nepal and India the support and skills they need to ensure their self-sufficiency and dignity.
At our empowerment centers in Kathmandu and Tarai, women receive training in vocational skills and health education. They graduate with the confidence to become artisans, mentors, and entrepreneurs in a transparent and fair trade industry.
We invite you to join the growing movement of conscious consumption. Let's choose products created with full supply chain transparency that are made with care for our beautiful planet.
Each choice we make has the power to bring light to the millions of people still living in darkness. I am Nasreen Sheikh, survivor and leader in the movement to end modern-day slavery.
Oh, that is so moving and so inspiring. We are thrilled and delighted to have back in World Unity Week one of our young leaders and ambassadors, Nasreen Sheikh from Empowerment Collective. And Nasreen, it's perfect today because today is all about empowerment, and the work you've done at the Empowerment Collective these many years has been touching the lives of people really in some of the most heart-wrenching situations of any of the human family anywhere on the planet. So it's a great honor to have you come back and to share with us a little bit more about the work that you're doing at Empowerment Collective on this day devoted to empowerment itself. So Nasreen, welcome back to World Unity Week.
Thank you so much, Ben, and thank you so much, World Unity Week, and Laura Rose, my mentor, our board member, for all of you for being here today. And so nice to see you, all of you. Today, I would like to begin our conversation with a dream of a beautiful world, a dream that embraces indigenous lifeways that integrate humans, nature, and our universe. Indigenous cultures and lifeways need to be valued, especially the traditional and environmental knowledge and the recovery of indigenous leadership in economic and political and ecological decision-making as a part of the ongoing process of eradicating modern-day slavery. We really need to come together and protect our water, our food, and most important, our health. And I dream with all of you today that let's weave a new fabric with threads from business knowledge and the world faith traditions, cultures, and arts that we maintain, our spiritual connection to our natural world. And I dream with you to transform our values to the equality, abundance, and regeneration. And we all know that we can no longer afford to stay disconnected. We know people around the world are suffering, and we also know that our planet is suffering. And if we deeply look into it, we know what to do. And the question is, will we do it? So that was a little dream that I wanted to weave with all of you. It seems like my co-host supposed to be here and asking me questions.
Annie's here, Nasreen. We're going to bring her up in a moment. I just wanted to give people who may not have come across you your extraordinary little part of your backstory, which we're going to be hearing more about today. But you are the founder and co-director of the Empowerment Collective and newly appointed EC co-director Anne Boyd for a conversation. So both you and your newly appointed EC are here with Anne. Together, you're going to explore Nasreen's journey from child labor to inspirational leader and the ways that the holistic grassroots organizing is at the very heart of the Empowerment Collective's work to empower women in underserved communities of India and Nepal. So wonderful. Thank you so much for being with us. And Anne, if you wanted to bring your video on and come and join us here for this conversation. It's great to have you with us. You might need to turn the recording off if you've got it going in the background there. But and welcome to World Unity Week, and we'll get you and Nasreen into this dialogue and this conversation. We're so looking forward to it, and I think there might be an opportunity for people in the room a little bit later to put their hand up and ask questions of Nasreen and Anne. So just be aware that you'll have that opportunity a little bit later. But Anne, great to see you and welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for hosting us, and my apologies for my tardiness. And I'm just so grateful to be here. And Nasreen, thank you for sharing that beautiful vision. That was our thought, that we would really begin with this idea of a beautiful world that we all can imagine and that we all can create together. So I guess the next question Ben, do we have the video that we can share?
Oh, yes, we played that just at the top of the show.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Oh, I'm so glad. Okay. Well, I think I'll move on to my second question for you, Nasreen. And I think, as we talk about the work that Empowerment Collective does, it's really important maybe that what we share here is your understanding of the underlying causes of modern day slavery and why today, with seemingly more awareness, why it seems to be on the rise.
That is such a great question. Thank you, Anne, for being here. And as I don't know if all of you know and how much you know about modern day slavery, there are over 50 million people remain in modern slavery, as the video was describing. And the footprint of modern slavery can be found all around us. And what we need to become aware is to open our eyes to this problem. And we need to ask questions like where our clothes come from, where is even this technology that I'm using right now, where that comes from, and the solar panel in our buildings that we think that we are eco-conscious people, but even solar panels contain slavery. And there is about 28 million people in forced labor. I was one of them as a survivor, maybe like 15, 18 years ago. And so that journey itself has been a quiet opportunities for me after healing all of these years. And I think what I would like to really convey the message today that the issues that most people have no understanding that their goods are a part of a supply chain that contain modern slavery. And I feel like I don't want to put so much pressure on the consumer because a lot of the time businesses and corporations don't tell enough stories of these artists. And so just to pick up a little bit detail on my story is like when I was 9 or 10 year old, I was born in undocumented village. These undocumented village children don't have any birth certificate, don't even have a death certificate, and they were being sent to the cities to work. I was one of them. I ended up in Kathmandu in 10 by 10 room with 6 people, working 12 to 15, sometimes even 18 hours a day, making same thing over and over. And these big factories were so, means like it has a chain where there was a big factory had the small factory had the mini factory has the illegal hidden sweatshop in unmarked buildings. That's where they were using these undocumented children, women, and I was stuck in the lowest of the supply chain. So when you buy something, maybe in the surface level, everything looks perfect and like perfect tags, perfect style. But if you go to the, not just the middle, but the lowest of the supply chain, you will find a lot of slavery. And that is, we are living in a world of unconscious consumer culture, and that has fueled the exploitation of some of the poorest and most vulnerable in society. Like we were the most least responsible, like we were making like less than $2 a day. And somehow we come from like the most vulnerable communities. And also the international labor laws does not protect us, and it actually supports the corporations and businesses to continually cut costs for the greater profits and the margins. Also, again, like I don't know, this is such modern slavery, such a new thing and new report that recently came through the Walk Free, which is a independent humanitarian groups are coming together, and they recently released Global Slavery Index report, which says that 50 million people are currently, as I'm talking, is living in modern slavery. So someone like me, who I was the fortunate one that I escaped and I came here and I'm talking to you, but girls like me who have dreams, who have a vision, who have futures, they're stuck on that supply chain, on the bottom of the supply chain. And that's why that report, the GSI was able to share that. And just a few more things, that the report showed that 468 billions worth of goods were imported to these G20 countries. And G20 countries are the richest country on the planet. And they're being, all of these $468 billion products is being produced by forced labor. So I think it is very important for all of us to learn, what are we consuming? Are we consuming suffering, or are we consuming connection or love from somebody? Because art shouldn't be exploited. Thank you, Anne, for that question.
Yeah, that so clear, Nasreen, and really compelling. And I have many follow-up questions. I think I'd like to just ask you right now, when you formed Empowerment Collective, it really was formed out of your lived experience. And I'm wondering if you might share your observation of a woman's story who's moved through the skills training program with Empowerment Collective, and just how you saw her journey from being somebody who did not feel empowered to somebody who really had a sense of themselves and their own voice.
Yeah, so the Empowerment Collective was born out of really necessities, nothing like we didn't had a business plan or a strategy or, vision. All I was doing is taking moment by moment and really feeling the desire to help the people that as I was growing, I was leaving my communities kind of behind, and I did not want it to leave them behind. So when I came to America in 2016 for the first time, and I walked to this major department store and I see all these luxury and then the abundance of comfort. And I was like, what are these things? These are the things that was made by people like us. So we wanted to change that. So the Empowerment Collective right now, so far since 2018 have, and thank you to Purpose Earth for choosing us, one of the ambassador. With all of your support, we were able to feed people in the most pandemic time about 20,490 meals. We were able to provide health and hygiene kits to 3,599 girls. And then we are able to provide 496 to the education kits to the very vulnerable children. And so far we have empowered and supported 5,085 women. And I know these are the numbers, and sometimes, we think that we can't do it, but really the journey that as I come through, a lot of great people have supported. And today, I just want to give you a story of one incredible woman's story. Her name is Narayani. And Narayani is a woman from the village of Goldunga, which is in Kathmandu. She is approximately 42 years old. And because of her poor recordings of official document in the village, Narayani does not have actual birth certificate and citizenship until today. She was arranged into marriage around the age of 16 to an abusive man. Narayani suffers from chronic seizures and was unable to afford to buy medicine even for herself. And one day something happened to her when she was cooking in the kitchen. She had a seizure and causing her to become unconscious. And during this episode, the firewood she was cooking with caught her pants on fire and causing her severe burns to her leg. And her husband did not care for her, did not love her. Like life partner supposed to be for that, but he, as soon as she had that disability, he felt her like she was no longer beautiful, no longer good. So they left her, and she became so abandoned and was in the street. And that's when we met her, and for the first time, and we asked her like, how can we help? And she said that just please just give me the money, some money, so I can take a buy of medicine. And it was only like if I remember, it was like only like $10 or $15. And once we bought the medicine, she was feeling a little better. And then she felt more better. And after months later, she said, like, can you give me some more money because I want to continue this? And she started to feel better. So we asked her, like, why don't you come and learn the skills in our center? So she happily joined. And after 6 months of training, she became a weaver. And then after a year later, she became a mentor. And after 2 years later, she has like 4 buffaloes and gives the milk that she distributes to nearby her village. And she is one of the loudest women in our center. And women like Narayani gives me hope that change is possible if we all just open our heart and open our mind to be in service. And it was not Narayani's fault to have a seizure. It was not a fault for Narayani to not have a citizenship, so she couldn't go to school. So this is something that we are feeling in our communities, ancestral and generational poverty in many different levels. And that's where Empowerment is Collective is doing a grassroots work in these most vulnerable communities. We're not even NGOs wants to go there because the communities are so vulnerable. There's so much needs. And because this organization is led by survivors, we have to go back. We have to protect our communities. So the Empowerment Collective is such a small, deep-rooted, small organization, but doing very powerful work, which is literally taking people from nowhere to give them identity of who they are. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nasreen. It's really paint a picture for us of Narayani's journey. And it leads me really to my last question before we open it up to a few questions, which is, you know, as people living in communities where we've had a lot of privilege and educational resources and all of that, how do you see the ways in which we can most meaningfully support a shift and a change in the world away from this? I mean, you've mentioned some things already, really being mindful about our purchasing and that our purchases have a voice themselves. But is there anything else you feel that you can offer for those of us who really feel hungry to make a difference in the world?
Yeah, I feel like right now we are living in the world where there's a lot of suffering, and sometimes I feel like why there's like we see it, we feel it, we know it now. So how can you use? You know, we don't have much, but what we have is a voice. You know, so how do you speak up for the things that really matters to you and the communities? And we need to think now, we need to think beyond the price tag. You know, we need to consider the people who make our clothes, our shoes, and even our phones. And we need to a little bit investigate and read the label and be curious, and we need to ask questions. We need to ask questions to those businesses that, hey, do you pay your workers living wage? You know, and don't you all think that living wage should be a fundamental human rights? And if people, if a women in these communities, they're working 8, 10, 12 hours, and if they're not getting a living wage, it means they can't afford clean water, they can't afford nutritious food, they can't even send their children to the school. So if they don't have access to that, it means the next generation will repeat the same. And that is exactly what happened to me. My father was a slave, my mother was a slave in this area, and then I had to go through. And if I didn't break through, my children potentially would have to go through that. So I think it is a very important for people to speak up and share these kinds of stories. It takes a lot of courage to speak about your trauma and share with people over and over. It's a very sensitive thing. So please be sensitive, please be curious, and you know, when you do purchase, support companies like Empowerment Collective. You know, we do have beautiful products on Etsy that it's all made by love. And you know, if you do have money and if you have resources, you know, donate and support these health programs, education programs. And even if you don't have money, you can really, you know, you have social medias, you have communities, you have families, talk about it, because 15 million, that is not just a number, it's a voice, it's a people like me. It's most of these slaveries are actually, it's a global problem, it's all around the world. And if we all unite together, we can really help transform. And yeah.
Beautiful, thank you. So clear. I feel, Ben, if it's okay, we're open to fielding some questions from listeners.
Oh, right. Wonderful. Amazing. Well, anybody here in the Zoom room would like to ask Nasreen or Anne a question or have a comment, please put your hands up. And it is a wonderful, Nasreen, we met through Purpose Earth, of course, and Purpose Earth, you're a grant recipient. And we do have Laura Rose and Emmanuel Kunzelman. Maybe we'll bring Laura Rose forward to greet Nasreen and maybe to ask a question.
Thank you. Thank you, Ben. Hi, Laura.
Hello, Nasreen. It's wonderful to see you. And thank you for being here. Thank you to both of you, Anne. And sorry about the confusion about the times. And so appreciate you being here with us and having worked so hard on putting all of this together. It's an honor to work with both of you. And I received a lovely gift last year. And came in a beautiful package, and I opened it up, and it was this beautiful long case sewn by hand, beautifully made, and with a long zipper on it. And when I opened it, it was a yoga mat, which I now use every day for yoga. And it was made by local women's handicraft, all with love, all beautiful materials. And what a difference it is doing yoga on that mat compared to a rubber or plastic mat that is so often frequently sold in the United States and elsewhere. And when I think of it, when I do my yoga in the morning, I think of you, Nasreen, and I think of all of the extraordinary women who have been given the opportunity to create something truly beautiful with their lives and with their training. And I don't think my video is working very well, so I may be freezing right now a little bit. But tell us just a little bit, Nasreen, about the women that you are working with right now in Nepal. Can you give us a little background on them?
Yeah, so Local Women's Handicraft started in 2008 with a small money of loan. And in that time, we were just one woman, Rita and me, and then with her, seeing her transform and learn, we realized that in our community, women don't have education. We can't even afford to have education. We are in the space of like very extreme way of survival. And so what we wanted to do is to teach women how to be independent. And one way to make them independent is to give them skills that nobody will ever take away from them. So the women, we started to think a lot about like what are the things is harming our communities, you know. And one thing that we realized that we have looms that have been used for not hundreds but thousands of years. So how can we utilize these 100-year-old loom, which does not need any electricity? What are the materials that we have access to locally that we can turn into something that people will love? So Laura Rose, your yoga mat was made on a 100-year-old loom with the story that I was sharing. Narayani made that yoga mat. And the material on that is a local cotton that is woven also on the loom. So everything is done like before that yoga mat came to your hand. It was touched maybe hundreds of times by these artisans, so you could feel their energy, you could feel their like the connection on that art, and that's one way to give you back and support, and get supported also at the same time. And also, like as you were talking about the rubber mats, the rubber mats that we are using right now, if we don't recycle it, it will stay within our planet for 800 years. And the yoga mat that you received, if you will use and then you want to throw it, only 8 months later it will decompose because it's cotton and all is natural dyes. We use a lot of hemp that grows in our mountain. So and we use this spinning, which is a very 1,000-year-old cultures, and those things in a way is a form of meditation that helps us heal our mental health, that also provides us livelihood. But somehow in this modern world, people have forgotten, that how these indigenous people do have the tools and these resources to heal our planet. However, our messages does not reach to these mainstream people. So I really appreciate for creating these communities and sharing these small grassroots work. And right now, we have 35 incredible artisans. All of these are from disadvantaged, marginalized women who have escaped forced marriage or who have escaped another sweatshop. These are all the survivors, women who are coming together to just have a little better life. We don't want to go and create a multi-million-dollar business. We don't have that desire. What we have a desire is how to heal and how to live in a connected society. And one thing that we also learned in that center is sometimes it's okay to be dependent on one another and support one another and feel like, there is a sense of community. So the center is run through the mentorship. So the women who have come to the center, learned and healed, those are the women are becoming mentors. And so it's creating a safe place for those new women and young women. And also we are reducing inequality in a way, because a lot of the men is feeling safe to send their women to the center, because they think that, it's only women place, they're going to be okay, no problem. And then slowly their mindset changed, that because she brings money, with that money she can send to the children to the school, and the men slowly start to respect her instead of putting her down. So we saw a lot of things were changing for good, and that's why like these models got so kind of like people like it if they know the story. Yeah. So thank you for that question. That was a really good question, Laura.
Beautiful. That's beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Nasreen. Thank you, Anne. The Empowerment Collective is just doing extraordinary work. Thank you, Purpose Earth. What a great collaboration. And I know that, it's just the beginning. There's so much more to be done, so much more to be shared, and so many more lives to be touched. So, Nasreen, we love you and just support you, and whatever we can do to help you and your mission and the Empowerment Collective go forward through Purpose Earth, through Unity Earth, through World Unity Week, whatever we can do to lift up the work that you're doing. And thank you, Anne. Thank you for being here and the incredible work and leadership to support Nasreen and Empowerment Collective to the next level.
Thank you so much.
Are we on the behind now?